The protected species. The massive Federation diplomatic vessel hung in orbit above Earth like a silvery dagger against the black of space. Commander Maya Chen gazed at it through the viewport of the International Space Station, her dark eyes narrowed with a mixture of awe and unease. At 42, with her military-cut black hair now showing streaks of silver at the temples, Chen had spent her career preparing Earth's defenses for potential threats from beyond the stars. She never expected those aliens would arrive with smiles and treaties rather than weapons. "Still admiring our new guardians?" asked Dr. Elias Reeves, stepping beside her. His lanky frame and perpetually rumpled lab coat gave him the appearance of an absent-minded professor, but his mind was razor-sharp. "Guardians," Chen repeated, the word feeling strange on her tongue. "Is that what we're calling them now?" "That's what the media's running with. Earth joins Galactic Federation as protected species. They're celebrating in the streets." 3 months had passed since the Galactic Federation had revealed itself to humanity. Their arrival had been surprisingly peaceful, a flotilla of magnificent ships appearing beyond the moon's orbit, broadcasting messages of peace and cooperation in all Earth's major languages. The Federation, they explained, was a coalition of 17 advanced spacefaring species that maintained order throughout this sector of the galaxy. They had been observing humanity for decades, waiting for the right moment to initiate first contact. That moment had arrived when Earth's long-range sensors had finally detected their presence, forcing their hand. Chen's communication unit chirped, "Commander Chen, your presence is requested in Conference Room A. The Federation representatives are ready to begin the final treaty discussions." "Understood. On my way." As she made her way through the station's corridors, Chen reflected on the whirlwind of diplomatic exchanges that had followed first contact. The Federation had presented themselves as benevolent guides, offering humanity knowledge, technology, and protection from the dangers lurking in the depths of space. Their only requirement was that Earth join as a protected species, a designation that came with both privileges and restrictions. The conference room doors slid open, revealing a table surrounded by both human diplomats and alien representatives. At the head of the table sat High Envoy Solaris, the Federation's chief diplomat. Like all Selenians, Solaris resembled a tall, elegant humanoid with iridescent skin that shifted colors with their emotions, currently a calm blue tinged with gold around the edges. "Commander Chen," Solaris greeted her, their voice musical and pleasant in the translator. "We are pleased you could join us for this historic occasion." President Elena Martinez of the United Earth Council nodded to Chen. "We were just reviewing the final terms of the protection treaty." Chen took her seat, and a holographic display materialized above the center of the table, showing the treaty text. She had reviewed earlier drafts, but her attention was immediately drawn to several new clauses highlighted in red. "As you can see," Solaris continued, "we've made some minor adjustments to the military restrictions section. These are standard protocols for all protected species." Chen leaned forward, reading carefully. The minor adjustments appeared to be extensive limitations on Earth's ability to develop its own defense capabilities. Human spacecraft would be limited in size, weapons capacity, and range. Any vessel traveling beyond the solar system would require Federation escorts. Earth's military research would be subject to Federation oversight and approval. "These seem rather restrictive," Chen noted, keeping her voice neutral despite her concerns. Solaris's skin rippled with faint purple, slight annoyance. "Commander, you must understand the dangers that exist beyond your system. There are predatory species, cosmic events, and technological hazards that your civilization is not equipped to handle. These restrictions are for your protection." "And who protects us from these threats?" Chen asked. "The Federation maintains peacekeeping fleets throughout governed space," responded another alien representative, a Viridian named Krell with features reminiscent of a terrestrial octopus. "A substantial contingent will be stationed in your system." The discussion continued for hours, with Earth's representatives negotiating minor concessions while accepting most of the restrictions. Chen noticed that while the Federation was inflexible on military matters, They were surprisingly generous with medical technology, clean energy systems, and agricultural advancements. By the time the meeting concluded, Earth had officially become a protected species under Federation oversight. The treaty was signed, celebrations were planned, and a new era for humanity had begun. 6 months later, Commander Chen stood in a secured underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. What had once been a missile silo had been converted into a research center for studying the technology the Federation had shared with Earth. Dr. Reeves led her through security checkpoints to his private lab. "You need to see this," he said, his usual casual demeanor replaced by tense urgency. He activated a holographic display showing detailed scans of Federation ships in Earth's orbit. "We've been monitoring their resource extraction operations as permitted by the treaty. They're allowed to harvest certain minerals from our outer system bodies. Jupiter's moons, the Kuiper Belt objects, that sort of thing." "I'm aware of the agreements," Chen said. "Well, they're taking 3 times the agreed-upon quantities," Reeves replied, pulling up comparative data. "And not just the materials they disclosed. They're extracting rare earth elements and certain isotopes they never mentioned wanting." Chen felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you certain?" "Absolutely. But there's more." Reeves swiped to another display. "Remember how they promised we could maintain defensive capabilities within our own system? Take a look at these rejection notices." The screen filled with Federation responses to Earth's proposals for patrol vessels, satellite defense systems, and weapons research. Each one denied, citing various clauses in the treaty. "They're systematically preventing us from developing any meaningful defense capability," Chen said, the realization settling like a stone in her stomach. "Which might be fine if they were actually protecting us as promised," Reeves countered. "But look at the Federation fleet deployments." The display changed to show the positions of Federation vessels throughout the solar system. Where there had once been 20 large ships patrolling the outer system, now only 7 remained. The others had been reassigned to other sectors. "They told us they were increasing security," Chen murmured. "They lied," Reeves said flatly. "And there's something else, something they haven't told us about at all." He pulled up sensor readings from one of Earth's deep space telescopes, equipment that predated the Federation's arrival. The readings showed energy discharges and radiation patterns consistent with combat at the edges of the solar system. "They're fighting something out there," Chen said, studying the patterns. "And they didn't inform us. Whatever it is, it's been getting closer. I've been tracking these incidents for 2 months." Before Chen could respond, her communication unit chirped with an emergency signal. "Chen here. Commander, we have a situation," came the voice of Admiral Takashi from Earth Defense Command. "The Federation has called an emergency meeting of the Security Council. They're saying we need to be briefed on an evolving situation." 2 hours later, Chen sat in the newly constructed Federation Embassy in Geneva as High Envoy Solaris addressed Earth's military leadership. Their skin had shifted to a deep, troubled purple. "We regret to inform you that your system has attracted the attention of a spacefaring predatory collective known as the Void Swarm," Solaris announced. "They are nomadic resource consumers who leave destruction in their wake." A holographic projection appeared, showing strange, asymmetrical vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved in erratic patterns, unlike the graceful precision of Federation ships. "We have encountered them before in other sectors," continued Solaris. "They are drawn to systems rich in resources, particularly those with the unique combination of elements found in your Jupiter and Saturn bands." "Why weren't we informed of this threat earlier?" demanded President Martinez. "We did not wish to cause unnecessary panic," Solaris replied, their skin flickering with defensive yellow. The Federation fleet was handling the incursions at the system's edge. However, their tactics have become more aggressive. Admiral Takashi leaned forward. "What are their capabilities? How serious is this threat?" The hologram shifted to show a Federation vessel engaging with swarm ships. Despite the Federation's advanced weapons, the swarm vessels darted around them with surprising agility, concentrating their attacks on specific points with devastating effect. They utilize a form of distributed intelligence, explained Krell, the Viridian representative. Each ship is relatively simple, but they coordinate with perfect synchronization. Their technology is primitive compared to ours, but their tactics are effective. How many human settlements are in their projected path? Chen asked. Solaris hesitated before answering. There are 3 mining operations on Jupiter's moons and a research station on Titan that may be at risk. We are arranging evacuations, but time is limited. And your fleet? Pressed Chen. You've reduced your presence here over the past months. Will you be bringing in reinforcements? Additional vessels are en route, Solaris assured them, but they are needed throughout Federation space. The swarm has been unusually active. After the meeting, Chen pulled Reeves aside in a secure room. They're not telling us everything, she said quietly. Of course not, Reeves agreed. But I've been doing some analysis of our own sensor data. The swarm isn't some random nomadic group that happened to find us. They've been deliberately herded here. What? By whom? By the Federation. Reeves pulled up another set of readings on his tablet. Look at these energy signatures. Federation ships have been engaging the swarm at specific coordinates, creating a corridor that leads directly to our system. Chen stared at the data, her mind racing. They're using us as bait, or a distraction, or a resource cache, Reeves added grimly. The swarm consumes resources. The Federation has been extracting our resources heavily. Maybe they're setting up our system to be depleted by the swarm while they pull back their own assets. But why? We're supposed to be under their protection. Protection that comes with complete dependency, Reeves pointed out. What better way to maintain control than to have us desperate for their help against an external threat? Chen was silent for a long moment, her military mind calculating possibilities and responses. We need to prepare. Even with the treaty restrictions, there must be something we can do. Actually, Reeves said, lowering his voice further, I may have an idea about that. The treaty limits ship sizes and weapons, but it says nothing about certain alternative defense systems I've been developing. Tell me more, Chen said, decision crystallizing in her mind. If the Federation wouldn't truly protect humanity, then humanity would find a way to protect itself, treaty or no treaty. As they walked toward Reeves' secure lab, an alert sounded on Chen's communication device. A Federation patrol vessel had been destroyed near Titan. The Void Swarm had breached the inner system much faster than predicted. The game had changed, and Earth had precious little time to prepare for what was coming. The unexpected defense. Alarms blared throughout the Earth Defense Command headquarters as Commander Maya Chen strode purposefully into the crisis center. Holographic displays filled the air, showing the real-time positions of the Void Swarm vessels as they tore through the orbital defenses around Titan. Federation ships engaged the enemy, their advanced weapons creating brilliant flashes in the vacuum of space, but they were clearly outnumbered. Status report, Chen demanded, taking her position at the command console. The research station on Titan has been evacuated, but the mining colony on Europa is still being processed, reported Lieutenant Diaz, her fingers flying over the controls. Evacuation ships are en route but won't arrive for another 12 hours. And the Federation fleet. Admiral Takashi's weathered face was grim. They've lost 9 vessels already. The rest are falling back to a defensive position near Mars orbit. Chen's jaw tightened. They're abandoning Europa. 417 human lives, and they're pulling back. They claim it's a tactical regroup, Takashi said, though his tone made it clear he didn't believe it. The main doors slid open as Dr. Reeves entered, accompanied by a team of technicians wheeling in several large containers. Is the secure communications chamber ready? He asked without preamble. Chen nodded. This way. She led Reeves and his team through a series of security checkpoints to a shielded room deep within the facility. As the doors sealed behind them, Reeves began unpacking the containers, revealing sleek, helmet-like devices connected to compact processing units. "The neural mesh interface is ready," he announced. "We've completed the integration with the drone control systems." "How many do we have?" Chen asked. 50 pilots trained and ready. 2,000 drones constructed and hidden in asteroid fields throughout the system. Each pilot can control up to 40 drones simultaneously through the neural link. Chen examined one of the helmets. It looked deceptively simple, a lightweight frame embedded with sensors and neural connectors. "And the Federation doesn't know. We use their own medical neural interface technology, but modified it for our purposes," Reeves explained. "On paper, we've been developing advanced surgical assistance systems, which is technically true. We just expanded the applications. And the drones themselves." Reeves activated a holographic display showing small, agile craft barely 10 meters long. Each one is essentially a glorified engine with minimal weapons attached. They're too small to register as military vessels under the treaty definitions, and when dormant, they read as mining equipment. How effective will they be against the swarm? In conventional terms, each drone is practically harmless, Reeves admitted, but that's not how they're designed to work. It's their coordination that makes them lethal. 40 drones moving with the precision and creativity of a single human mind. Chen nodded slowly. "Deploy the pilots to their stations. I'll inform the Security Council." Back in the crisis center, Chen faced the skeptical faces of Earth's leaders and the distinctly unhappy expressions of the Federation representatives. Solaris's skin had darkened to a deep, stormy blue. "Commander Chen, what you're proposing violates the spirit of our treaty," Solaris said, their voice carrying subtle harmonics of disapproval. Earth agreed to rely on Federation protection. "Protection that is currently retreating from Europa," Chen pointed out. "With all due respect, High Envoy, the neural mesh drone system technically violates no clause in our agreement. The drones are under the size restriction, and each carries only minimal defensive capabilities. This is a matter of trust," insisted Krell, the Viridian representative. "Deploying an untested defense system could escalate the conflict." President Martinez stood. "The conflict is already escalating, and our people are at risk. Commander Chen has my authorization to deploy the NMDS immediately." "This is unwise," Solaris warned, their skin now pulsing with angry red highlights. "The Federation cannot guarantee your safety if you act independently." Chen met the alien's gaze steadily. "You already can't guarantee our safety. That's why we're having this conversation." In orbit around Jupiter, Lieutenant Sophia Rice settled into the neural interface chair aboard the disguised command station, hidden within a hollow asteroid. Similar stations were positioned throughout the solar system, each housing pilots ready to connect with their drone squadrons. "Neuralink initiating," announced the technician as he lowered the interface helmet onto Reyes's head. She closed her eyes as the familiar sense of expansion washed over her. The neural interface mapped her consciousness across the network, extending her awareness to each of the 40 drones under her control. Suddenly, she wasn't just Sophia Rice. She was 40 individual crafts spread across the Jupiter system, each an extension of her will. "Echo Squadron online," she reported, her voice steady despite the exhilaration of the neural connection. "Awaiting deployment orders." Throughout the system, similar reports came in as the other pilots connected to their squadrons. Chen watched the status board as green lights appeared one by one. "All squadrons report ready, Commander," Lieutenant Dias confirmed. Chen took a deep breath. "Deploy all units to Europa. Priority is evacuation protection. Engage any swarm vessels that approach the colony or the evacuation route." The orders traveled instantaneously through the neural network. Near Europa, 40 sleek drones shimmered to life from their dormant state among the debris field, their formation tightening with perfect synchronization as Lieutenant Reyes directed them toward the incoming swarm vessels. From the Federation command ship orbiting Mars, Solaris watched with growing concern as their sensors detected unusual movement near Jupiter's moons. "What are those?" they demanded, pointing to the swarms of small signatures approaching Europa. The Federation tactical officer, a reptilian Draxian, hissed softly. "They appear to be small craft, high envoy, too small for our standard combat profiles. Perhaps mining drones or debris." "They're moving with purpose," Solaris observed. "Enhance visual." The holographic display zoomed in, showing the human drones as they intercepted the first wave of Void Swarm vessels. What happened next defied the Federation's tactical expectations. Instead of engaging in standard combat patterns, the human drones moved with fluid, unpredictable grace. They danced around the larger swarm ships, coordinating their movements with an organic spontaneity that confused the enemy's distributed intelligence. "Impossible," whispered the Draxian officer. "Those movements, they're too complex for automated systems." Aboard her interface station, Lieutenant Reyes was in a state of focused flow. The neural connection allowed her to perceive space in all directions simultaneously, to feel rather than see the movements of the enemy. She didn't need to issue commands to her drones. They moved as her thoughts moved, as naturally as breathing. A swarm vessel lunged toward one of her drones, and Reyes instinctively scattered her formation, reforming it behind the enemy. 10 drones concentrated their modest weapons on the same vulnerability point, penetrating the swarm ship's defenses through sheer synchronization. Throughout the Jupiter system, similar scenes played out as the human pilots merged with their drone squadrons. Each pilot developed their own style. Some favored tight, aggressive formations, others used decoy tactics and ambushes. The Void Swarm, accustomed to predictable Federation tactics, found itself unable to counter the creative, adaptable human strategies. In the Crisis Center, Chen watched the battle unfold with cautious hope. "Status update on Europa evacuation. Evacuation ships are on schedule," Commander reported Dias. "The drone squadrons are creating a safe corridor and have destroyed 27 swarm vessels with minimal losses." Admiral Takashi shook his head in amazement. "The neural interface gives our pilots perfect coordination with none of the communication lag that hampers traditional fleet movements. It's revolutionary. It's what makes us human," Chen said quietly. "Creativity, adaptability, unpredictability. These are qualities that can't be programmed or distributed across a hive mind." On the main display, they watched as another squadron executed a complex maneuver, using Jupiter's gravitational pull to slingshot their drones at impossible angles, catching a group of swarm vessels in a crossfire they couldn't anticipate. "The Federation's watching," noted Takashi, pointing to the signals coming from the Federation command ship. "They're scanning our drones extensively." "Let them watch," Chen replied. "Maybe they'll learn something." The battle continued for 18 hours as the neural mesh drone system defended the evacuation route from Europa and gradually pushed the Void Swarm back from the inner system. By the time the Federation fleet finally advanced from Mars to engage the enemy, the human drones had already destroyed over half of the swarm vessels. 3 days later, Commander Chen once again found herself in the Federation embassy in Geneva. This time, however, the atmosphere was markedly different. Solaris greeted her with a formal bow, their skin a respectful shade of deep purple with gold highlights. "Commander Chen," they said, gesturing to a seat at the conference table. "The Federation Council wishes to express its reconsideration of Earth's status within our alliance." Chen took her seat, maintaining a neutral expression. "I'm listening. Your neural mesh drone system proved remarkably effective against the Void Swarm," Solaris continued. "A defense strategy we had not considered feasible. The Council is impressed with human ingenuity." "We're full of surprises," Chen remarked dryly. Solaris's skin rippled with what might have been amusement or discomfort. "Indeed, which brings us to the purpose of this meeting. The Federation wishes to propose a reclassification of Earth's status from protected species to associate member." Chen raised an eyebrow. "What would that entail?" A holographic document appeared on the table. greater autonomy in your defense development, shared responsibility for system security, access to Federation councils where your voice would carry equal weight with other members, and the resource extraction agreements would be renegotiated to more equitable terms. Solaris conceded. The Federation recognizes that we underestimated humanity's potential contribution to galactic security. Chen studied the alien carefully. Why the change of heart, High Envoy? Just days ago, you were warning us about violating the treaty's spirit. Solaris was silent for a moment before responding. The Federation has encountered the Void Swarm many times across many systems. Our conventional fleets are effective, but predictable. Your drone system demonstrated an approach we had not considered, distributing minimal resources across many small units guided by creative intelligence rather than concentrating power in large vessels. Human ingenuity versus raw power, Chen summarized. Precisely. The Council believes this approach may be valuable against other threats in Federation space. Solaris leaned forward slightly. We would propose a collaborative development program. Your neural interface technology combined with our advanced propulsion and weapons systems. Chen allowed herself a small smile. So you don't need to protect us after all. You need our help. The Federation believes in mutual benefit, Solaris replied diplomatically. Different species contribute different strengths to our collective security. I'll bring your proposal to Earth's Council, Chen said, rising from her seat. But I should warn you, as associate members with equal say, we'll have questions about how the Void Swarm found its way to our system in the first place. A flicker of unease crossed Solaris's skin. Of course, the Federation values transparency among its full members. As Chen left the embassy, she found Dr. Reeves waiting outside, his expression curious. How did it go? They're trying to save face, Chen replied as they walked toward the transport. But they need us now. Our neural mesh system changed the equation. They thought we needed a fleet, Reeves mused. They never considered that humans might approach space combat differently. Chen nodded. That's the thing about being underestimated. It gives you room to innovate without interference. The Federation restricted our ships, so we built something that wasn't a ship. They limited our weapons, so we turned coordination itself into a weapon. What happens now? Chen looked up at the sky, where Federation ships still orbited alongside the first of Earth's newly authorized defense platforms. Now we negotiate as equals. They thought they were getting a dependent client species. Instead, they found partners who think differently than anyone else in their Federation. Partners who don't need a conventional fleet to defend themselves, Reeves added with a grin. Exactly, Chen agreed. They laughed at Earth's missing fleet until they realized we never needed one in the first place. In the months that followed, the neural mesh technology was refined and expanded. Earth officially became an associate member of the Federation, with representatives taking their places on various councils. The treaty restrictions were lifted, though Earth chose to focus on its drone systems rather than building conventional capital ships. Other species within the Federation began studying the human approach, some even sending observers to train with Earth's neural mesh pilots. Commander Chen, promoted to Admiral, oversaw the establishment of the Integrated Defense Academy, where Federation species learn to combine their various strengths. And throughout Federation space, a new respect emerged for the humans who had turned their greatest limitation into their unique advantage, proving that sometimes the most powerful fleet isn't a fleet at all, but the ingenuity to overcome when others believe you have nothing.